Roll call.
Johnston here.
Carrillo here.
Kavich here.
Sweetie here.
Corral here.
Seifert here.
Chandler here.
Item 2 is minutes of the January 28th, 2014 meeting.
Corral moves to approve the minutes of the January, what was the date? 28th meeting.
January 28th, 2014.
Johnston,
Seifert seconds.
Johnson seconds.
Okay.
Roll call.
Johnston, aye.
Carrillo, aye.
Kavich abstains.
Scafidi, aye.
Corral, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Item 3 is significant common council actions. Carrie.
Council approved a resolution vacating and discontinuing a portion of a public street along East Forest Hill Avenue. Mr. Mayor.
Wow, that was quick. Item 4, 2 items under new business. Item A is sign plan review. Review of amended sign plan submitted by Mike Maida for the Rawson and Howell LLC building located at 7001 South Howell Avenue, tax key number 734-9028. Carrie.
Applicant is requesting approval for an amendment to the approved sign plan. The current plan allows this would be allowing 2 wall signs per tenant. Previously, the plan would allow for 1 wall sign, but it designated which elevation the sign would be on. The applicant is requesting that end cap tenants would be allowed to have 1 sign per elevation, a maximum of 2 signs. There is one question about whether or not the submitted sign that was included in your packet for Great Lakes Dermatology, the question is whether or not Great Lakes Dermatology is actually an end cap tenant right now. Otherwise, there are no other issues that we can foresee with allowing the end cap tenant to have multiple signs. There is just one clarification that we want to have in the recommendation, which is that the Plan Commission approves the amended sign plan to allow 1 wall sign per tenant-occupied elevation with a maximum of 2 total signs per tenant for the property at 7001 South Howell Avenue. Mr. Mayor.
Do you have any understanding of whether the dermatology clinic is going to move to one of those end
That's
locations?
the question.
Okay, we don't know that?
No.
Okay.
Step to the mic.
Microphone, name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Bob Hacker. I'm with Bauer Sign Company, representing Mike Mehta at this meeting. To answer your question, yes, Great Lakes Dermatology has relocated. They were internal of that strip center, and they now have moved. In fact, I think they just opened either yesterday or today to the south end cap.
Okay.
This request, and I have a note from the commission from September of 2012, where they were allowed, there was an exception made, and they were allowed 2 elevation signs, one on the east and one on the west. This particular request was to allow end cap tenants. At that time, they did not have any end cap tenants in the system. But as they are now filling up that building, the 2 end cap tenants would like to have a sign on the south or north elevation. So that's what this request is.
Okay.
I'm told.
Thank you.
You're
Commissioner
welcome.
Correll?
I guess update me on where we're at. We've looked at this couple different instances. There on the Howell Avenue side, did we approve second signs for the
Back sign.
west side yet, or didn't we not already do that?
The approval was to allow signs on 2 sides.
So,
And it was the east or the west elevation originally.
so we would still limit it to 2, but we would allow them to have a north and a south on the 2 ends. So we're not adding signs technically.
We would allow 2 signs on the end cap for the tenant, but we wouldn't specify which side it had to be on.
So I'm just to clarify, I'll make sure I follow. So if
Yes.
you're on the end cap, you've got one in the east and the west, or one in the east and the north, or the west and the north, but they get 2 signs. So
Exactly.
we're not adding any signs.
No.
Got it.
Commissioner Seibert, were you done, Dan? Pat? Okay. Commissioner Seibert?
Is there any side to the size of those signs? I mean, isn't there, we have a requirement of certain sign?
Yes, this meets the requirement.
It does meet those, okay, size.
Done, Fred?
Yeah.
Commissioner Carrillo?
Would the end ever be vacated by two? Like the front and the back, would that ever be two different businesses?
Not to my knowledge, I believe this was set up as a 4-tenant building.
Okay, so it'd just be one sign per side.
Can you come up? Is your understanding that it's a 4-tenant building?
That's correct. Yeah, that space goes all the way through
Got it.
east to west.
Thank you. Do you have a question?
Uh,
Alderman Bekavich?
The only thing I have to state is we've done this on other buildings throughout the city. This isn't an oddity. It's not like we're setting a precedent with it. I actually think it's pretty advantageous to the business versus the west side of that building, which really just faces the parking lot. So I'm for approving it.
I remember when council approved that building and Mr. Maida came forward and had no tenants at the time, and we all questioned, what the wisdom, given the economic climate, of that was smart. And it's turned out he's done pretty well.
Yes, I think there's one extra space in
Yeah.
the building now. In fact, on the north end of the building, there's a bank group going into that space, so.
Yeah. And I think the thing that he did right is it's a nice-looking building.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, very nice.
And
We've worked with Mr. Mehta and other properties throughout the area.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Good to work with. Any other questions from the commission? I need a motion on 4A.
Bukavich will make a motion that the Plan Commission approve the amended sign plan to allow up to 2 wall signs per tenant for the property at 7001 South Howell Avenue.
Can I interject just one moment?
Absolutely.
We want to just make clear that it's 1 wall sign per tenant occupied elevation with a maximum of 2 total signs per tenant.
As stated.
Second concurs.
Okay, roll call?
Johnson, aye. So well.
Grillo, aye.
Bukavich, aye.
Graffiti, aye.
Corral, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Item 4B is a minor land division. It's a review of a certified survey map submitted by Thomas Kennard for the properties at 9859 and 9867 South Chicago Road. Tax key number is 912-9942 and 912-9943. Carrie?
Applicant is requesting approval to combine the 2 lots at 9859 and 9867 South Chicago Road. Both are currently vacant except for an existing billboard that is going to be removed at the time that the parcel is developed. The lots, once combined, will be conforming. There are a couple of issues that need to be resolved prior to recording, one being that there should be a 10 by 10, roughly, triangle within the right-of-way on the southeast corner that should be depicted on the CSM itself. There is also a 20-foot water and sewer utility easement along South Chicago Road that needs to be included on the map. Access off of Fitzsimmons Road for the existing billboards is also supposed to be depicted in an easement on the map prior to recording. With that, the staff recommendation is that the Plan Commission recommend to the Common Council that the certified survey map submitted by Thomas Kennard for the properties at 9859 and 9867 South Chicago Road be approved with the condition that all technical corrections are made prior to recording. Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Johnston.
I just want to clarify that it's actually a 35-foot sewer utility easement along South Chicago.
Thank you.
And the plans for this combined lot are?
The idea is for, I believe, a home and a home-based business.
Okay. Is the applicant here? You can come up. I might ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
Just your name and address for the record.
My name is Suzanne Kennard, and we live in currently 2921 5 Mile Road in Caledonia.
And you want to move to Oak Creek.
Yes, I do.
And what's the nature of the business?
Sewing business, alterations.
All right. Commissioner Chandler.
It was noted on here that the road, Wisconsin 32 Chicago Road, will be widened. So how does that relate to this property?
Can I defer to Brian, please?
Brian?
In the Sewer Packs 2035 plan, they're showing that Chicago Road will be a 4-lane highway. That's what's planned. When that happens, we don't know. But there's potential for a future road expansion. The right-of-way that's needed, you can see down here in this corner, the existing pavement encroaches onto the property as it makes this turn onto Fitzsimmons. So we just need to get that right-of-way so that the pavement is actually in right-of-way and not across our property.
Thank you.
If they go 4 lanes, Brian, will they eat up some of the front of that?
Yeah, they will.
And will
It's a 66-foot right-of-way now, so that
they'd still make the setbacks?
they would meet the setbacks.
Or would they be grandfathered in if they build before the road?
Yeah, you know, Trans 233 might come into effect for the state on there, and they would require them to push it back. You have the billboards. There's billboards that sit right here,
Uh-huh.
so probably not going to be building where too near those. I don't know what the existing easement is around those billboards. But there's potential for, you know, an additional 15 feet to come off here for the road expansion.
The billboards are coming down, right?
Yes, it will be.
And I know one of the things that planning and I think the plan commission, I know the council's talked about, is trying to remove some of these older billboards across the city because they don't necessarily look as good as they should. Commissioner Correll?
That was my question, Mayor.
No.
Any other questions from the commission?
Mayor Scafidi,
Yes, come on up, Mr. Degner.
Degner, 8540.
Speak on the mic, please.
Arden Degner, 8540 South Pennsylvania Avenue. I've been around this billboard a number of times, and it seems like the property is low. What are the drainage requirements? I don't see any elevations here. Has that been considered?
This is just a land.
Delineation.
We're not at that
Yeah.
level of
Yeah.
discussion yet. Obviously, anyone that did anything on the property would have to address those issues when it became time to submitting a plan for whatever building they were going to put up. Good question, though. Any other questions? Motion on 4B?
Correll moves that the commission recommends to the common council that the certified survey map submitted by Thomas Kennard for the properties at 9859, 9867 South Chicago Road be approved with the condition that all technical corrections are made prior to recording.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call.
Johnston, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Kavich, aye.
VDI.
Correll, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, good luck. Motion to adjourn.
Carrillo moves to adjourn at 6:12.
Correll seconds.
Roll call.
Johnston, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Kavich, aye.
Scafidi says yes.
Correll says yes.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of the week. Stay warm. See you next Tuesday.